So, what I wanted to do was speaking on women. Um, Obviously, I'm not a woman. You know what I'm saying? So I can't put myself. I can put myself totally in their shoes. But
Yeah.
the reason why we have the Bible is it helps us teach. It helps us learn about different topics and help us actually get knowledge from topics that we're not necessarily familiar about or to get any kind of wisdom from. So I wanted to go to Proverbs 31 and kind of walk through that entire chapter and Pops will look at those different things that we kind of had put together before as we kind of walk through it. So I won't read all the way through 1 through 9, but I will start in 10. But we'll do a recap on just kind of not a recap, but just a little introduction on 1 through 9. This chapter is the perspective is King Lemuel. I can't never say his name.
Lemuel.
King Lemuel, and his mother giving him lessons on teaching him about different warnings. This is like 1 through 9. Talks about how to avoid they're not giving your power to women. Mm-hmm. That's a whole nother topic too as well, but I won't go into.
No, that's
we got so many rabbit holes a lot of times. And then it goes on to about not leaning on drinking alcohol and going into it. So as we get down to 10, that's where it talks about the
virtuous
woman. So I start out in 10, and we'll kind of just walk through it.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yep.
All right, so who can find a virtuous wife? For her worth is far above rubies. Now, her worth is so much worth than material things. Mm-hmm. So I remember just not too long ago, Nancy, Matt, and I, we went down to Alabama, Missouri game. And one thing that I noticed, I know we did talk about this a little bit, was that the women or young ladies, they looked all the same. Mm-hmm. They either had on white boots, I don't know if it was a costume or something. They had on short skirts, and the majority of them were blonde for some reason, you know. And the trigger that I got from that was it's like everybody wants to blend in. Mm-hmm. And so in regards to like a virtuous wife or woman, there's a difference between someone who's just not virtuous and is virtuous.
Yep.
And so like from a male's perspective, we have to be able to recognize these traits. I can go back to when I first met Adrian. There were a lot of things about Adrian. I won't go in detail. I don't want to get in trouble because I got a big mouth. But there's so many things that we have to understand as men and as women. But I want us to get the mindset of the perspective from a man's point of view and a woman's point of view. With this chapter, we're looking at, from a male perspective, I use TJ. TJ I do all the time. TJ, he can see it as what to see in a woman and a wife and to hold on to it because it's so rare.
Yeah.
Because when you find it, you have to lock on to it. From a woman's perspective, it can be an image of what the perfect wife looks like.
Yeah.
Feel me on that? Mm-hmm. Anything to add to that?
Where I was going to go is where are we looking for that virtuous wife when it comes to a young man? When you're looking to settle down and get married, where are you looking? In many cases, we're not looking in the right places. Yeah. And I can almost guarantee your parents are definitely your mother. I can remember this one young lady I brought home. My mama said, "Oh, no, you not. I don't even think about it." And that was the end of it. But they will tell you what you should be looking for in a young lady. Mm-hmm. But in a young man's mind, he ain't hearing all of that. So where are we looking? And in many cases, where should we be looking? We already know. We should be looking right here within these four walls. But many of us, we go somewhere else and look instead of looking where we really should be looking at. And then we wonder why we get into so many problems, because we're not looking in the right places. And the same thing with a young lady that's looking for a young man. But then you hear the teens within these four walls, and they say, well, there's not enough young men, there's not enough young ladies to choose from. And as I've often told them, there's more than one Church of Christ in Columbus, Georgia. And you can get out and go places and meet people when you go to these different youth events. But for whatever reason, some of us are not in tune the way that we should be when we're looking for a mate. First and foremost, it should be someone that's in the body, not someone that's outside the body. But unfortunately, because of the world and our eyes, you see things and it's like what you're looking at may not be what you need. Well, I can let me rephrase that. What you're looking at is not what you need. You think it is, and you don't find out till later on, I made a mistake. So we got to be careful when we're looking for that mate. Where are you looking at? And don't be looking for all the wrong things.
Because that goes along the side of having a bad picker. I hear that so much. I got a bad picker. No, you need to study the word, so that way you can really hold on to what's true and accurate. So like, kind of what you're saying, choosing the right people. If you know what to look for, and once you find it, you got to hold on to it. Male or female, you got to hold on to it.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest takeaway on that, as far as the rarity of virtuous woman, because in this building, I would say this too. In this building, we have. I did a sermon on. I did a lesson on. I think it was marriage or something like that, whatever. And I was shocked at the amount of years that we had of couples together. Like I'm talking like 50 years, 60 years. And there's a reason behind that. Like out in the world, divorce rates are over half or whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but I know it's a lot. But in this building, you have a lot of married couples. And success always leaves clues somewhere. And that's one thing that I do know. Success leaves clues.
And that is one thing I think we miss out on a lot, is tapping into those families that have been married for years. And just sitting down and talking to them. What did you do? How did you make it work? And in many cases, they're going to tell you it wasn't easy. Sweat, tears, ups and downs, but they made it work. And it wasn't that they just throw their hands up and say, well, and there's so many different reasons that folks come up with why they want to get a divorce. And I've heard it from, she can't boil water, he doesn't respect me, and it just goes on and on and on and on. But when you boil it all down, when you were looking for that person, what were you looking for? Did you start out with a spiritual mindset, looking for that virtuous woman, someone that is in the body, someone that is faithful in attendance? Or are you looking for someone that's out there in the world? And then you come back and you say, well, what happened? How did I make this mistake? And it all goes back to, where were you looking? Why didn't you look within these four walls? And we can answer our own questions. Is why divorce rate is just crazy. Even being in the military, I saw it early on, is folks just in and out of marriages. I'm like, why you been married 5 times? And you're not even 30 years old. And the guy, of course, would always say it was always her. It was like, something's wrong with that picture. I said, you need to go look in the mirror, because the problem is probably you. No, it's not me. I'm the perfect example of what a husband should be. You can't be if you've been married 5 times.
You don't know what you're doing.
You don't know what you're doing.
You don't know what you're doing.
And it all goes back to how we're raising that family, because those children are looking at mom and dad, right? Are mom and dad setting the right example? Because in many cases, I know when I was growing up, I would hear young ladies say, I want to marry someone like my dad. Or a young man say, I want to marry someone like my mom. Do we hear that today? Because in many homes, it's broken. There's issues. And what are the children witnessing to where some of them say, I don't even want to get married? Or, which blows my mind, we're just going to live together. And I know I'm trying to get out of that rabbit hole, but the image that we're setting, are we destroying the Christian family by the things that we do, by the things that we say? And I'm talking about Christian families. I'm not talking about families out there in the world. Are we, as Christians, setting the right example? Are we doing the right things? Are we going into the Word and talking to our children and say, hey, you know what? You're looking, you're dating. Let me get your focus where it needs to be. Yeah. You need to be looking for this type of young lady. You need to be looking for this type of young man. And take all those worldly things out and replace those with godly things. So that you can get started on the right path. And if we're not directing them in the path that they should go as parents, then we're not doing our job.
Yeah. So as I read this, naturally, especially for married men, you kind of have kind of like a checklist. Is my wife like this? Do I act like this? You know what I mean? And so. And the trigger word that got me to it when you said that marrying somebody like your mom or something, whatever, and I didn't know, and I'm gonna get in trouble for it, but I've told this before. I didn't know that I married someone very similar to my mom. They get along, but it was, I was like, wow,
yeah,
Dad really married my mom, you know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, stay on topic here. So, rubies, value, worth, when you have her, you find that person, hold on to it and cling to it. I think about Ephesians 5:25, so husband loves your wife just as the church also loves as itself. When you find that,
yeah, you better hold on to her.
You gotta hold on to it.
Yeah.
You know, I think about Sister Francis, Nancy, Martha. I think about all these good women that we have, because when you have a good wife, usually there's a good husband somewhere in there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying I'm a good husband, but
she done whipped him into shape. That's what that is.
Yeah. Anyway, let's stay on topic. Let's go to 11. Let's stay 11. Cool. Well, we can go all day on that. All right. So, the heart of her husband safely trusts her, so he will have no lack of gain. So, trust. When you have a husband when it's hard to trust your wife, what does that say about you?
Why did you marry if you didn't trust her?
Why did you marry? Because you should be able to trust her with
anything.
All of it.
And that right there, I've heard many men say, my wife is not on my bank account. Is your wife on yours? I said, yeah. She's on everything that I have. Yeah. You trust her like that? I said, why would I marry her if I didn't trust her?
Exactly.
So you don't trust your wife with your bank? No, I don't trust her. So why did you marry her? Think about that.
Yeah.
If you don't trust this person to be responsible with your finances, I said, well, do you trust her with your kids? Well, yeah, I kind of sort of do. But why did you marry her? Well, she looked good. I'm like, really? And then you listen to what they say, and it's like, wow. And even going back home, I can go back to my wife's hometown, and the first thing people ask me, you know what they ask me? Y'all still together?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
Duh.
And they're like, well, everybody else around here has been divorced and remarried 3, 4, 5 times. I said, well, we got it right, and we're going to stay together, and God is the head of our life. Oh, we don't want to go down that. No, we don't want to talk about all that.
And that's their problem. They don't want to go down that path. They need to go down that path.
That's the path they need to go down.
Maybe you stay married to somebody.
There you go. But it's all about trust. That's where it starts. You got to trust one another. Why in the world would you marry somebody that you don't trust? That just blows my mind.
You know, what's really sad is I was talking to some people in a denominational church that I used to go to, and they asked me how my husband was doing if we were still together. We've been married 23 years, and it's not easy.
No, it's not easy.
It's not, but we don't believe in divorce. But people who are supposed to be people of God are asking us if there are ways that we are still together, you know?
Well, if just marriage is for life. You look at God's word, that's you before God and whoever's there witnessing this union. It's not until something better comes along. It's not until, oh, well, we don't get along anymore. We have a disagreement, or she can't cook, or he don't pick up his socks, or it's all these excuses. Irreconcilable differences is what you see on some divorce decrees. Irreconcilable differences. Go ahead, Brother Matt.
I just want to say to Betty's point, the world's view of divorce seeps into churches,
Yes.
seeps into a lot of denominations, to where now denominations that during some of the lifetimes of some of the people here, those denominations would not have put up with these kind of divorces. And today, they encourage them.
Yep.
And if we're not careful, it seeps into the Lord's church. We got congregations of the Lord's church that at one time would not have put up with these kind of divorces. But now have gone away to Corinthians and 1 Corinthians and will celebrate them.
Yep.
And so the world, the devil's not stupid.
No.
He's highly intelligent. He's evil, but he's highly intelligent. And he knows how to weave his way into particular denominations because they must please the world. But even the Lord's church, if we're not careful, we seek to please the world and then give up his doctrine.
Right. And again, growing up in the church, you saw people stay together. They worked through their differences. And now it's like, oh, well, I just go find somebody else. Then you say, well, what does God's word say? It's till death do us part.
How many movies and shows glorify divorce?
And that's,
I'm wearing all black today, so I'm bringing up Johnny Cash. Okay? They made a movie about Johnny Cash. And you're supposed to, in that movie, root for him to get together with Jim Carter. Which is what? Leaving his proper wife and
right,
mother of his
to be with somebody else.
to chase this adulterous relationship. But that's what's romanticized.
Yeah.
And how many? And it's not just that. There's a lot of movies in which that if you stop, you go, wait a minute. What am I rooting for here? What are they asking me to? There's a famous song that came out. Well, why won't you stay? A beautiful singer. The whole song is about a woman who wants a man to leave his wife
To be with her.
An old country song. On the other hand, it's an old man. Remind me of someone who wouldn't understand. But I mean, it's in our music. It's in our
everywhere.
movies,
It's everywhere.
in popular culture that there's something almost honorable or something almost, I guess, pleasing to the senses and somehow therefore appropriate for a man to go find leave his wife and go find his true love, or a woman to leave her husband and go find her true love. And so it's in our culture.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's in that program.
Yeah.
Program. But our programming should be on what?
Should be on
Should be the
God's
scriptures.
word.
Should be on the scriptures, and that's the battle that we're kind of dealing with right
Yeah.
now. With that. So as we go on to 12, she does them good and not evil all the days of her life. That's a woman that uplifts you, make sure you have everything taken care of. But that's not against you. So
Right.
Looking at trust, husband need to trust her. Woman need to show, I guess, in their character they can be trusted and have the knowledge to be trusted.
Right.
As well. I kind of lost where I was going to go with this, but yeah, good and not evil all days of life. So this it's being that person that's always uplifting, encouraging, and it still goes back to how the husband needs to be doing the same thing too, because
it goes both ways.
Yeah, it goes exactly.
It goes both ways. And
if you don't have a
again,
trust factor inside the relationship, you're gonna have a lot of friction,
you're gonna have problems.
a lot of problems.
But we have to remember what our roles are. You love her as Christ loved the church.
Yep.
Christ is first and she comes second, but you show her that she's important to you. And you make sure that she knows that she's important to you by how you talk to her, by how you treat her, by how
you deal with
everything.
Yeah.
And it should show in everything that you do, and say that this is my wife or this is my husband, and people know that. Yes.
She's serious about her commitment to the Lord first and to her husband.
And that's the way it should be.
And to her family and the community. That's what Kingdom View is going through. That a good woman will do all these things and do it gracefully and the fear of the Lord.
I was thinking about something that just.
Well, I'm gonna say this, and this is something that I'm really passionate about, because it really gets under my skin when I see men treating their wives, talking to them wrong, just been nasty to them, or saying what they can't do, or what they, it just that's not, you're not showing love.
Nope. That's not showing Christ in your life.
Yeah, and it's serious business. If you're upset with your wife or whatever it is, what I'm saying, if she's not cooking right or she's not, I'm so tired of folks talking about cooking so much.
That's normally the first thing that comes up.
I can't stand that.
That's one of the first things that people talk about. Couples will talk about, or a husband will talk about. It's like, you knew she couldn't cook when you married her. Yeah, I knew that. I didn't marry her for cooking. So what's wrong now? What's stopping you from going in the kitchen? Oh, that's not my job. Time out. This is 100. You both give 100%
like
to this
said,
relationship.
100.
If she's sick, aren't you capable of going in the kitchen and cooking, preparing a meal, cleaning the house, washing the dishes? Well, that's a woman's role. What? That doesn't say that in the scriptures. We're supposed to be a team. We're supposed to be helping each other.
Both be one flesh.
And see,
one flesh.
You became one. Now that you got,
I'm not even gonna say team. I'm gonna say one flesh.
You one flesh.
That's one flesh.
You look out for her. She looks out for you. If she hurt, you hurt. You happy, she's happy. You complete one another. But we've missed that because we went away from what God's word says, and we're worried about this whatever the world is saying, what the world is showing us. This is what perfection is. Or if you're not happy over here, then you go over here and you find Susie over here. I'll make you happy. There's no guarantee to that. It's pipe dreams. We got to live in reality. And unfortunately, we got this all messed up. But you got to trust one another. You got to love one another. You got to show that in everything that you do and everything that you say. You got to want to provide for that woman, and she's taking care of you. If she's cooking your meals, washing your clothes, and you can't come in there and say, you know what, I love you, thank you for everything that you do for me. And you can't buy her a flower, say, hey, I'm going to take you out to dinner tonight. We're going to get somebody to watch the kids. It's little things. In most cases, women, you don't have to go out and buy them the Hope Diamond. It's the little things that you do, the little things that you say. And they're paying attention to you, and you need to be paying attention. Pick up after yourself. Do something that's out of the blue. And it will blow her mind. She's like, he's never done that before. But whatever it is, just keep doing it. I don't know whatever got into your head, but keep doing it. And those are the things that we have got to pay attention to, because that is what that love is. You're now one.
I'm telling you, anything, I'm still on food. Anything Adrian cooks. For the most part, there's one time I didn't cook it. I didn't eat it because she was mad at me when she made it, and I didn't want to eat that. I told her, I don't eat hate food. You know what I'm saying? She gonna be mad at me. I should have said that. but back in our 20s, like we were real young, man. I'm talking about goodness. But but if she's making something, like right now, she's on the kick where she don't eat meat, right? I'm gonna eat it if I'm gonna go hungry. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna eat it. You know, that's what my wife wants to cook. She cook it. She put some seasoning on it, and hey, it's going down the throat.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not gonna eat this because you made this. What? Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And see, now that you said that, think about it. If she's been there If she doesn't work outside the home, she's in the home, she's preparing your meal. You come home from work, you got a hot meal waiting for you, and you sit there, and I know a guy that's done this. I don't want that. I'm like, man, do you realize what she did?
Man, please, I'm gonna eat that.
Do you realize that? Her sweat and tears and her love went into that for you, and you get home and you look at that and you look at her and say, I don't want that. Really? How can you say that? I would be afraid to do that. But see, that's where that love comes in. And for me to stand there and say, well, this is all you can do all day? Think about, see, our words get us in trouble.
Brother?
Our words get us in trouble. Think about what you're about to say. Fellas, think about what you're about to say. Before you say it. Open mouth, insert foot. Remember, God would be slow to speak. He tells us that for a reason. Be slow to speak. Think about what you're about to say and the implications of what you're about to say. What's that going to have on your spouse or on your husband?
Here's the thing, though. You have to put yourself in the other person's shoes.
We don't do that.
If they've been sitting at home, if you were sitting at home cooking and made this dinner for you to come home and you were sitting and not eat it because hey, I don't like it because it got crust around the side. What? What? I wish. Yeah. That's a rabbit hole, but it's the truth, though.
But it's the truth.
You know, but it's about appreciating that person for what they are. And at the end of the day, who chose her?
You did.
What they say about you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it goes back to my grandfather telling me when I was 13, 14 years old. He said, boy, he said, these little fast-tailed girls out here, you need to get in this kitchen and learn how to cook.
Pepper heads for me. That's my grandma called them pepper
He said,
heads.
you better get in the kitchen and learn how to cook because you might run up on one that she can't cook. He said, what you going to do, starve? He said, you ain't going to be knocking on my door. So go in the kitchen and cook together. What's so strange about that? Brother Matt?
First of all, I don't understand a word y'all just said. Just marry a chef. You have to worry about all that. You said I didn't marry you for cooking. That guy said I did marry her for cooking. So I don't understand this at all. But Nancy did have a question. Going back to what you said earlier about men mistreating their wives, which I mean, granted, complaining about her cooking, unless the chef is mistreating her. But Nancy brought up, because you're saying we don't divorce. And so she brought up, could you speak to the idea of appropriate times to physically remove yourself from your home, physically remove yourself from your spouse for a time, such as abuse of yourself or of your children or etc. Like, when is it appropriate to separate yourself? And then how do you do that as a Christian, and how do you do that with regard to your marriage? It's not fornication, but some other disturbance in the home.
I'll let you jump on that. You got more wisdom.
I got to find that.
I can add a little bit to it.
I got to find that passage of scripture where it talks about, and I know what that. I'll get there in a second. But before you get into an argument,
that's where I was gonna go.
First and foremost, who's around you? Are your children around you? Are they listening to what you're saying? Because what you're probably about to say has those 4 letters, LOVE, is not even in there. It's not in the mix. So think about what you're about to say, and they're listening to that. And then you wonder why your children say some of the things that they say. And you say, where'd you get that from? How dare you say that? Well, you said it to daddy or you said it to mommy. Uh-oh. Now what do? We have to be aware of what we are doing. Before you get into that argument in front of those children, you say, what? Stop. Let's stop this right now. We'll do this later, or we'll go into another room, and we are not going to raise our voices. We're going to talk to each other like we love one another. And we're not going to call each other out of our names. And we're going to handle this in a manner that is pleasing unto God. And and if you're so heated that you both can't talk to each other, you say, baby, I'm going to leave. because we're not getting anywhere right now. If you have to leave that house,
Are you meaning like a separation?
leave.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But don't stay and the situation escalates, and then before you know it, you're reaching out and touching one another, and not in a loving manner. You got to know when you're at that point to separate yourself so that you do not do something that you're going to regret or have to apologize
Yeah,
for
I was
or
going to go
repent
on
over.
that same way, the route
Yeah.
that you was going.
But if you love her, you shouldn't say mean, hateful things to her, because remember, you love her as Christ loves the church, right?
Oh,
So nothing mean, nasty, or should come out of your mouth. Well, she did this, or he did that. Stop. Count, and as my therapist, when I came back from the war, my emotions was all over the place. I would cry at a moment's notice just because of some of the stuff that I experienced. But I had to learn how to separate myself from situations and say, you know what, give me a minute. And I go out and I count and I come back in, I regroup. And those are things that I have to do because of some things that I've gone through. But as you are in that marriage, you should not do anything that's going to cause harm or danger to your spouse, because you love her, you love him as Christ loved the church, right? So why are you saying those mean, nasty, hateful things to her? Well, I was upset. Does that justify you calling her out of her name? Does that justify you putting your hands on her or her putting her hands on you? Think about that. And if your children are watching you and listening to you, think about that. The example that I'm setting. And then they go out and get married, and then they start reciprocating the same behaviors that they witnessed you and mom doing. And we sit back and say, well, I don't know where they got that from. We know where they got it from. And stop all that macho crap. I'm the man. I run things. I'm in control. She's going to listen to me. She's supposed to obey me. That's what the word says. I said, you need to go back and reread that and get a better understanding of it. Because if you love one another, as Christ tells us we're to love one another, you're not going to say something mean and nasty. You're not going to put your hands on your spouse. And you can agree to disagree and say, hey, you know what? We need to not continue this right now because we're both upset, and to keep us from doing something or saying something that we're going to regret. We'll come back to this at another time when we have calmed down. But you got to be an adult. Act like adults. Don't act like little kids. Well, she said this. Well, he did that. And then we just got to wake up and realize we have to be the example, and we have to put God back in the marriage.
To add on that, on a micro level, with like small arguments or when you in regards to separation,
What was that?
like small arguments. I say small arguments. Every argument, to me, honestly, personally, is really small. Just hey, I'm mad at you because X, Y, Z. Leave, go take a walk, calm down. That's on micro level. On the macro level, you're talking about a legal separation. I don't want to be by you. I don't want to, I want to do this. I look at it as like this. If I got to love my wife as a church, right? Spiritually, am I going to leave the church if the church does something that I don't personally like?
Nope.
On the macro level, we get in arguments. I don't want to sin. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to be angry, but just don't sin, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Be angry and sin not.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you're all right with me, no matter what they say about you. I walk around, calm down, so I don't do something that is going to cause me to sin.
Yep.
But as far as leaving the church because thou shalt or whatever, had me do something,
Yeah.
I'm not going to leave. And I think a lot. I have a friend that I've been trying to coach up forever. I've been trying to get him in here. He's going through a separation, And I was telling him, no, don't do that. And now he's talking about, man, I'm going to go ahead and try to divorce him. Like, no. I just feel like separation causes a divorce.
So a husband is sexually abusing the children. Husband is physically abusing the children's wife. That's we're not
Okay, there you go. Okay, what?
we're talking about.
Come on, man.
What are the situations?
Yeah.
What are the situations? What are the situations? The husband is derelict in caring for the family. The husband is abusing the wife or the children, sexually or physically. What are the situations under which is separation even appropriate at all? And if it is, how do you do it as a Christian? Because you don't, obviously, the sexual abuse of children might be different, but you don't have grounds for biblical divorce. How do you handle it?
Nope. First of all, you need to get the elders involved and the authorities. If there's physical abuse of a sexual nature or just abuse in general, you need to get the authorities involved and talk with your elders. And we need to have some Bible studies, some counseling, and get some counseling from professional counselors. Some folks don't like to go seek counseling because they say it's a sign of weakness. No, it's not. If what you have done has destroyed the foundation of your home, and you're trying to rebuild that foundation, you should, if you want to keep that marriage together, you should do anything that is possible to rebuild that foundation. And if it means going to counseling by yourself, if it means going to counseling, which you should do as a couple, and coming to talk to your elders and studying the Bible together on this is what should be going on in your home, knowing how to control yourself, your urges, asking, going to God for prayer and saying, hey, help me to control these physical desires that I have that are sinful in nature. Help me to control them. Help me to be the husband that I know I should be and stop being the monster that I've been in my household. And that may require that we have to separate for a while until he gets to the point to where the two of you can come back together as a husband and wife and be under the same roof. But that may take a period of time. We don't know. But in many cases, we counseling is available. Do we go? Do we follow the advice that the counselors give us? And whatever measures or steps that they give you to try to work out together, are you doing those things? Are you willing to go and talk to the elders of the church? Well, I don't want to tell everybody my business. I don't want them to know. But do you want to salvage your marriage? Till death do us part. And there may be some things that are just horrible that have taken place. Can you get through it? Yes, sir.
Can I say one quick thing? We need to be more focused. I think if a young couple want to get married, let the elders, someone sit down and talk to them, because when the person's young and in love and everything's nice, you don't realize they're going to have to do some growing and getting used to one another. And you're not going to be like mom and dad. You're already married 30 years from the day you say I do.
Right.
People need to look at what's happening, like we talked about last week with us about the qualities in the person you want to marry.
Yes.
We need to look beyond the beauty and also realize that things just don't fall into place overnight.
It's not. Stop thinking that the way she looks right now, everything is all put together. When she gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning, is she going to look that way?
In a relationship, because it's a four-letter word, work.
Oh, it's work.
You have to go to work.
You got to go to work. And something that we haven't, well, we kind of touched on it on counseling. Before you get married, how many of us go to marriage counseling before we get married? And then you sit down and you fill out these forms where it asks you questions about the person that you're going to marry. And can you answer those questions? How much do you know about this person that you're planning to marry? How have you gone to that person's house to sit down with them to see, well, you know what? You got some issues in your family. And again, I said, best time to get a divorce is before you get married. Now, you're not the right one because you're witnessing things in that household. It's like, no, if I marry you, we may have to go through this. How is he treating his mother? Does he respect her? Or does he talk to her any kind of way? And if he's talking to his mother that way, what makes you think he's going to treat you differently? And as you sit down with those families and you get to learn things about one another, that's when the warning sign should go off. No, this is not the right one. But we get caught up in infatuation and looks. So she's beautiful, he's got muscles, or they've got money, and you can throw all kinds of things in there. Wake up.
Yeah. You got Davis. Davis over here.
I mean, of course, and this can cut both ways, right? We need to, all of us need to be this way for each other.
Yes. This is not a one-way street.
The same advice if it was reversed. It's one way leading another.
Exactly.
Slapping us, right?
Exactly. Davis, he has something to say.
I would say we as Christians, we got to be careful using if, when it comes to marriage. When we say, well, if this, if that. And I was just looking in Matthew chapter 19, when the Pharisees agreed with testing Jesus. And they said, can you divorce for any reason? Mm-hmm. If you look at it, Jesus tell them, that was not how it was at the beginning.
Exactly.
Man and woman, he created male and female to become one. And the key thing I take about that when he says, well, Moses permitted you to divorce. What did Jesus say? That was not the way from the beginning.
Yep.
And then he gives a command. He says, and he says, I say to you, whoever divorces his wife except for sexual immorality. He doesn't say anything else.
Nope.
He doesn't add to it. So to me, I just say the key thing is Jesus told them when they tried to test him, he said, hey, Moses permitted you. Now, Moses permitted you, but that was not the way from the beginning. And then he comes back and he says, I say to you. And that's the key thing. So it's like when we say, well, if she doesn't do this, or if he doesn't do that when you marry, that's the key thing because as we mature, and I'm referencing myself, when you do that, you are thinking the grass is green on the other side. Right, but if you stay as one, the key thing is you're going to communicate. Whatever I cook may not be the best food, but my wife's going to eat it. The same thing for my wife's cook. So it's just being the love aspect.
Yep. Amen,
bro. To be continued?
Yeah, to be continued. I thought we were going to get through it. But
I didn't think we were.
All right, thank you, guys.
Great questions, great feedback. Thank you.